Yes, we are live. I'm excited. My energy is up. I'm fresh off a live podcast, so I said, let me just go ahead and stream. I didn't get my video up for this week. I scripted it and did my thing, but let's cut to the chase. In this video, we're going to talk about the number one thing that you need. You absolutely need this in your business if you want to grow in 2025. Now, for those who don't know, I'm Quintel Harcum. I founded Good Part and Company, plant-based health cafe and juice bar, became the first health and wellness brand partner at Johns Hopkins University. Also happened to be the first black business food service partner for Johns Hopkins. We grew the brand over 3 years, set up the template for them to learn how to grow and distribute healthy food services on their campus for their student athletes, for their faculty, and for the greater Baltimore City population, the city I know and love. Yes, I'm a Baltimorean, home of the wire. Don't let the suit fool you. So listen, I was working with some clients this week, listening to the podcast, doing what I normally do. And uh, I was listening to the Acquired podcast, the episode on Nike. Now, I haven't read Shoe Dog, so I said, I'm going to fast forward through this situation, listen to this episode. It's like 4 hours long. I got time. That's faster than reading the book. Still going to finish reading Shoe Dog, but to cut to the chase, Nike does not make sneakers and apparel. I don't know if you guys knew that, but if you look at the tag, it says made in China or some other country. Rarely, hardly, if ever in the US. Okay. But what Nike does is they build products for athletes. And if you have a body, you're an athlete. That's how Nike does, right? That's excellent, great branding. They have great marketing, all those good things. But one thing they don't have is manufacturing on their products. Okay. So that got them into some trouble in the early, late 90s, early 2000s, labor laws and uh, less than favorable practices and all those types of things like child labor. That's what I'm trying to say. All that type of stuff, right? But the reason why Nike is such a big deal is originally Nike partnered with when it was Blue Ribbon Sports. They partnered with Onitsuka Tiger, the brand that eventually became Asics. So we you've seen this before, right? So he partnered with them to make sneakers. They were making the sneakers. They ship it over to Phil Knight. Him and his homies riding up and down the West Coast, uh, the greater Northwest, and all that type of stuff to distribute the sneakers and eventually into other markets once it actually became, Nike. Blue Ribbon was just a distributor of these Onitsuka. I hope I'm saying it right. I mess it up, but they was just distributing those sneakers, right? Because it was a great runner and people wanted it. They didn't even have a Nike brand yet. Eventually, they end up making their own shoe, but guess what? The other company was still making it. Then this big conglomerate over there said, "Hey, over where they were getting their shoes manufactured in Japan, I believe, or in China. I think it's China. I'm messing it up, but it doesn't matter. They was getting it made in Asia. They said, "Hey, we know you're working with them, but you should come over here and holler at us. You know what I'm saying? We got factories. Things over there might get sticky. We can finance you, get your shoes made, get it shipped to you. You can do your thing. Okay." The other company found out, the original company, they was like, yo, we know y'all talking to such and such. We don't want them to come in, so on and so forth. It got hairy, things got rough. Read the book, listen to the pod. But basically, they end up ultimately working with the bigger brand so they can make more shoes, make more styles, make more connections, make more apparel, make more money, right? But what did Nike have that the big factory didn't have? Not just running shoes, not apparel, and not Phil Knight. Well, yeah, they had Phil Knight. But what they really had was distribution. Distribution is what's really going to blow your business up. And what I really realized in having my second somewhat successful business is that distribution is what matters. When you're a more experienced entrepreneur, I don't know if you're familiar, but check out my man Vusi Timbukwayo from South Africa. Just Google Vusi, Vusi. He gonna pop up. Great speaker, great entrepreneur. He has a kind of viral clip where he talks about first time entrepreneurs focus on products. They want to make the product perfect and, you know, all that type of stuff. And that's great. But that shows a bit of an experience because second time entrepreneurs, they focus on distribution. You can have a mediocre product, but if you got good marketing and good distribution, you're going to beat out the people with the perfect product most times. Okay. And seeing as how this is my second time around with a decent business, I understood that distribution is what was going to allow my business to grow. And when I started my first juice bar in 2020, I had my own little juice bar doing my thing in a busy part of the city, but it was during the pandemic, so a lot of people couldn't come out. Thwarted my plans a bit, but I had solid branding, solid marketing, the strategy that I used, which I talk about in my Brand Max framework, where if you want to see what the Brand Max framework is about and get a score on how your brand is doing, you can click the link to the Brand Max calculator in the description and you'll get a score and feedback on how well you're executing on your brand and all the elements that go into it. Well, those elements came directly from me focusing on the little store I had down in the middle of the city in Mount Vernon. All of a sudden, Johns Hopkins came knocking and they were like, yo, we trying to do a little something on the wellness side. You already got it going on, but we can't just toss it to you. Would you mind pitching to see if you can get the contract against some other juice bars? But if you come mess with us, we got the distribution, we got all of the people on the block. You come up here, you got distribution. We just need the product, right? We need the brand. So I was like, hey, it's worth a shot. I pitched, I won. I don't know who I beat out. I don't care who I beat out. I gave it everything I had, and then wipe my hands with it, got back to business doing my thing on my original shop. That worked out for me. Then I got distribution. Now distribution in this sense looks like how much, how many juices can I sell? How many smoothies can I sell? How many bowls can I sell? Well, if I'm on a college campus with thousands of students all day, the distribution not only is easy and direct to my end user, but it is the frequency is a lot higher. So I don't have to fight for as many customers for as often, and definitely not uh, as hard like ads and just literally based on my location where I was. Like I said, prime part of Midtown Baltimore. I'm across the street from Chipotle, across the street from Smoothie King. So what? They wasn't good as us. Uh, Potbelly, next door to a popular sushi spot, down the block from a vegan spot. The Thai food places up the street, the sub shop around the corner. So I'm fighting for food dollars, which means if I have to share, if I have to compete for that dollar, then I can't distribute as much product. But if I get with Johns Hopkins, they got better distribution. I got great product and great brand. I can distribute on their campus. So that really elevated my brand, got me to the next level, got me into uh, high six-figure marks with the business and things like that. And so it really just really helped me understand the power of distribution. And then listening to that Nike story, I was like, oh, exactly. I mean, this is common for more experienced entrepreneurs, and I'm gaining experience, but also I have clients, and some brand strategy is not necessarily around their logo. It's not about the color palette. It is about how you gonna get this product to the people. When it comes to service-based businesses, distribution is way different because you can only service a limited amount of people at a time. Let's say you're a masseuse, you're a barber, you offer premium like hair styling, things like that. Even if you have a high end med spa, you can only service one person at a time doing treatments, uh, topical treatments, Botox, any things like that, right? Any like quick surgeries, IVs. You can only service one person at a time per technician, right, or per person who's administering the service. So distribution looks a lot different. It's not about the hands-on part. It's about being able to distribute the level of your skill, right? Your authority. You have to distribute the fact that you are the best at what you do. And that comes down to having an audience. So people overlook the fact that an audience is distribution. This is why what used to be influencers and now is personal brands can do branding partnership deals and things like that because they have distribution, which is their audience that big brands may not have. So understanding distribution helps you understand better what your leverage is, where you stand with some of these brands that you may have as a personal influencer, right, or having a personal brand. But when you're a premium service brand, you have to think in terms of who can you connect with, how can you connect with the people that you want to talk to, so that you can elevate your distribution, so that you can have more leverage, right? You want to have more distribution, and that also could look like having more locations for whatever your premium service is and having different ways to make money through distribution, which could be digital products inside of your service based business. Right? You need to understand how can I share my knowledge and get paid from that as well. That's something that I don't have to physically be in the space to actually do. Even if you're an accountant, right? Or if you're a lawyer, you can only practice, you can only serve, you can only offer your service to one person at a time until you have a team of accountants. But if you can distribute that knowledge across that team of accountants, now they can apply the same service that you do at a high level. That's distribution, right? So you distributing knowledge. So you got to really understand that. So I was working with a client earlier this week. They was feeling down on their business, on their brand. I'm like, well, that's natural. That happens to entrepreneurs. You win it all day, every day. You're too close to the you're too close to the product or the business. You've seen the meme where people just, the path of an entrepreneur is basically up like this. It's never a straight line, right? So I understand where you at, right? You're feeling a little low. We all been there. It's not bad to evaluate where you are, but I told them, let's just think, what's the next best step you can make? They went out to Afro Tech, thinking that they can go get around some other really progressive individuals, people making moves, get their energy back up, maybe come home and reinvigorated. Take a break, take a break from doing their work. And sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you gotta do that. All right, cool. You don't always gotta have your head down, stuck on the grind. You get up, go get around some good vibes. They came back home, they still feeling the same way. They called me up. I make myself available when we have our strategy sessions. I'm like, all right, look, you can go get a job, you can switch, you can pivot, you can turn down a little bit, but let's think of the next best brand move. What's the next best move that you can make? What you got going on? Oh, well, this is what I'm working on. Come to find out, that inbox is full of distribution. They don't see it that way because they're focused on e- the product. They focused on right now. They're trying to get the cans made for distribution on their food and beverage product, right? And I'm like, wait, hold up. What's that in your inbox? So we already got them a regional distribution deal with Target. Great. The same contact from Target was like, hey, you're doing a pretty decent job. We got this hotel chain is interested across 140 of their locations. Now, not only is my client focused on the product, my client is also in accelerator program with another big box chain. Once they finish the accelerator, they get certified. That chain is willing to place and distribute their product. They have a they expanding the brand to a new product, and the other chain wants to pick that product up, but they also got a deal for the Hilton on their previous product, what they have in Target. And I was like, hey, if you want to change your mind on what you want to do with your brand, I'm not here to try to make you stay in business just so you can keep paying me. I want you to do the right thing for yourself and for your brand. But this is what it looks like. The next best thing is not about the product. Your product is fine. Yes, you can make some improvements. Yes, you don't have enough money to make those improvements. But because you have distribution, somebody will finance the production. Somebody will finance the improvement that you need because the deal flow is already there. And they just needed to take a step back to see that, or, consult with their brand strategist to see that, hey, you got a deal for 140 locations. You can package that up and take it to the bank. That's how much my product costs. That's how many locations we're going to put it in. That's how much they're going to buy. Can you finance me up to how many percent of that? That don't work. You have a good network, clearly, between the people at Target, this accelerated program, your friends from Afro Tech, whoever it is you need to talk to. You can go find enough money to finance this immediate deal with the hotel chain, get up some profit, reinvest it back into the business to improve upon the product you have now, and get that in the next deal, in the new big box deal that's coming for the expansion product. So once they understood the power of distribution, and that's the most important thing, especially in their business, because in the product business you need distribution, right? So their product is difficult to sell online. It's best that you got to really get in the stores to really move a lot of units, and they already had an opportunity, so they understand what they see now, the power that they have. And so I'm in to help them craft the right messaging to investors. They don't want to go the bank route, which is, I understand. So I'm craft the right message to investor. We already kind of narrowed down. We already have the brand presentation. That's the reason why people like it for, Target and other places. But craft the right messaging for investors. Understand that there's got to be a promo and a rollout campaign for pitching to the investors, but also giving them a glimpse into how they're going to roll this product out. Yeah, we already got a deal, possibly down the pipeline with the hotel franchise, but this is what it's going to look like when we get it in there. So just putting together all of the right assets. Okay, this is what our packaging going to look like when we put it in there. We're going to develop a banner. So, we take care of the visuals and things like that. But really, the brand strategy is understanding where the distribution is, how to execute on that, where we're going to get it to, and how you can use that to continue to grow the business. And it's already November, so going into next year, two deals already, uh, in the works. Now they're not guaranteed. One of them kind of is because of the accelerated program kind of guarantees the opportunity for distribution. So now it's up to the client to just go, work their network, hit the Rolodex, hit up the right people, and it's up to me to make sure I got the right uh, the right leverage on the branding, like using it the right way, packaging, making it look all beautiful, but also helping where I can with the actual copy, the verbiage, some of the legal things they can take care of, but we got to make sure that the brand covers the right touch points when it comes to pitching. Okay, you get this percentage, we get these type of assets, you'll have to use on your end. For any investors, I suggested if you get any investors to possibly look for people who already have experience in food and beverage as a part of brand strategy, because this person becomes a better brand for the partner because they might already have resources that you need to build in food and beverage, whether it's access to uh, manufacturers, people who build recipes, and all of the other things they make, canning, all of the other things that go along with it. So if you can find people closer to that sector, if not, find somebody who cares about this kind of product. That way, they understand the ups and downs and the ins and out that come along with it, and so they know how their money is moving. And they have understanding. They can lend their expertise. They're not just bankrolling and stepping away. That's cool, but if they're gonna want a percentage, how vested do you want them to be? Let my client worry about all those things. But when it comes down to writing, packaging, putting together the descriptions that they need to build a beautiful design deck to, pitch deck to send over to the investors, we can put that together and everything. But those are the things that we talked about, and it just really helped me understand, because while I'm talking with this client, I have another friend who actually has a service-based business, and recently they just did a quick Black Friday kind of push to make a certain amount of money to keep their business going. Now, I think it's great because they had a community, they had the touch points, they have the audience. You know, more than 10,000 people follow the business, follow the brand, and so they pitch in. The network is strong, they care, and they came in and help save the business. Last time I checked in, they only had a couple $100s to go before they got what they needed to save the business. But what I can say about what I learned from that experience versus my client is my client overlooked something that they had, whereas this brand didn't, but they abused the distribution they did have, because the reason they was in that tight spot is because they stopped connecting with the people who were already invested. Right, your audience is distribution in this case when it comes to service-based businesses. So and I watched them. I watched that brand. I'm not trying to work with them or anything, because it's a friend. If they want to work together, great. But it's a friend. They're doing their thing, and their personal brand is uh, a part of it is built around activism. But the person decided to lean in a bit more into activism and lean out of marketing, promoting, and branding the business. And so, from the looks of it, if you just look over the last few months, you forget that the person has a business. All of the social media, all of the places where they serve their audience and show up for the audience, that person is not taking care of the audience. They're not staying in touch and keeping that distribution strong. That's really distribution. Like, you really got to think of it that way, not to dehumanize the actual audience, but understand that that audience is your distribution. So you need to engage them where they are in the way that they need to be engaged. And so they weren't doing it, and then all of a sudden, now they got to do this crazy push to stay open. Where the last few months, if they could have attached the activism to the business and not ignore the business, and now they had to do the campaign. The campaign asked for donations, um, and in my opinion, I don't think you should ask for donations for profit business, but people work the things that they got to work, and they do what they got to do. So as long as that business is open doing their thing, it's all good. But it helped me understand what it's like to take advantage or misuse or misunderstand the power of distribution that you may have when you have a service-based business and you neglect your actual audience, which is actually a distribution. Because the good thing about having a service-based business and being really good, like a premium service-based business where you know you're nice with it, is that when you did nice, you give good service, you get a lot of referrals. Do you want to rely on referrals all the time? No. But the more referrals you get, it drives down your cost of acquisition because you don't have to pay for that next new customer. That customer just believe the other customer you serve, and now you make more money without having to do any extra work. And that's why you don't neglect and misuse and abuse your audience and that type of distribution. So multiple lessons was learned this week between the last 10 days between Nike, working with my client, and just keeping my eye out into the world of what's going on and seeing other people's business and how they getting down. So, what's the number one thing that's going to help you really grow a premium brand in 2025? Understanding, finding, and locking in distribution. That's what we on. So I'm trying to improve my distribution here on YouTube. YouTube is an amazing platform, and it allows me to distribute my message out to help other people, help other businesses, help other brands do their brand max thing. And if you want to find out how your brand is doing, how it's executing on the elements that it needs to be a premium brand, you can click the link in the description. Take the Brand Max calculator. The second link in the description are actually my new resources that I just finished doing my templates, my framework templates for all of my clients. Some of the things I've been working with them, I put it into a framework. You can click the second link in the description, access some of those resources for free. I check you guys out in the next video.